There should be a break, yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the participants and do not reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
BronxNet. Your voice, your views, your vision.
And hello and welcome to another episode of Open, the show that opens up the Bronx and the rest of the world to you. I'm your host, Bob Lee, and we got a very educational show coming up for you. But first up, our Monday morning highlights will recap who took home gold on Oscar night, which famous high-profile resident of the Bronx sold his home, and why that's important, and a look at a rising homegrown basketball star. And leading up the show, well, she started out as an intern, then became a producer for this very show, as well as a BronxNet correspondent. T. Marcy Santiago, now developing an exciting investigative series right here for BronxNet, and she's here to share more. Then we close out Black History Month with a look at 100 blacks in law enforcement who care, and one man who perhaps cares the most, retired NYC detective Carlton Berkeley, be highlighting and enlightening us with some of all that good information. And closing out our show, our story author, Claude Green. He'll share his story with the performance piece to put a period on Black History Month. So stay tuned. All this and more headed your way because we are now officially open. Good morning, everybody. I'm your host, Bob Lee, and you're watching Open. Today is Monday, February 28th, 2011, and we want to hear from you. So if you're free, just pick up the phone, give us a call, or you can email us at bronxnet.org. Also, check out our new Open Facebook page. Just go to facebook.com/Open BronxNet Television. What about that? You got to get on there and check it out. Morning highlights. We got it all for you, all right? Now, if you're listening to DJ Kool Clyde, I was looking at this young lady. You see this young lady here? She's from the Bronx. She's 95 years old. 95 years old. They call her a nonagenarian. A nonagenarian, that's a person between the age of 90 and 100. Well, she's from the Bronx, and she's the world's fastest lady. 95-year-old Bronx native. She set a world record at a track meet in Manhattan. She ran 60 meters in 29.86 seconds, and she's the oldest woman to do so. There she goes. She goes by the name of Ida Keeling. From the Boogie Down Bronx. What about that? You know about her, Kool Clyde?
Listen, we on the same sheet of music right now, man. When I came in, I saw this. I thought this was phenomenal. To be able to have a woman 95 years old still running, I'm sure she encourages so many other people to do so, and I think this is great. And we need to highlight that. And this was great for Black History Month as well. Yeah. Which is the shortest month. I don't know why. But, we got to do the best that we can with what we got, right?
Yeah. You know, there's a lot of things in the news. You probably watched this on New York 1 or Channel 11, and our BronxNet cameras probably picked up some of it too. But we had a number of things that took place over the weekend. There's an outstanding or overwhelming number of people who were being shot and killed. So we had something at the Harlem State Office building to create the awareness So a program by the name of SNUG, which is guns spelled backwards. And then on Sunday, Senator Malcolm Smith and a lot of other senators from all over the place, all throughout the 5 boroughs and also upstate New York, Buffalo, they came together. We did a march from the UN all the way to Times Square. And at Times Square, we spoke, we hosted it, and we let people know that this is a major problem and we want to stand up and do something about it. A lot of people spoke, including mothers of slain children. This young lady got up, her 13-year-old son was killed, and she got up and spoke about doing some things to combat that. My question is, how can we nip this in the bud? How can we get to the root of this? Because all too often we go to a lot of these things, and it's good to create the awareness, but what can we do to get to the bottom of it and maybe nip it in the bud?
Well, I think that, we've been marching for a very long time. I think we're tired of marching. How many times must we beat a dead horse dead? I think it's about economics. I think we need to take away advertisement dollars. I think we need to go where corporate America really understands. And I think until we do that and stop being scared and being comfortable in the positions that we are, fear that we're going to lose our jobs, we're going to have to do what Egypt is doing.
Do you mention economics because the jail systems on the New York Stock Exchange and people have to go to jail to fill those slots?
Yeah,
I'm just saying, I don't know.
That's part of it. There's so many different things that are going on that is connecting the dots. But I think that economics plays a very important role. One of the places we could start with the biggest gangsters on this planet is the Federal Reserve banks. Those are the biggest gangsters. They make the mafia look like kindergarten teachers. We need to start there. They starting with these banks, man. They build these banks out. They're still finding a way to profit off of us, man. And we just got to stand up and do what's right.
DJ Kool Clyde on the ones and twos, our resident mixologist. He's going to be doing the music for you. Last night belonged to Hollywood for the most celebrated night on film, Oscar night. And the film that was heard from the most was, got a drum roll? I think I have it right here. Wait a minute, it took it out. But I know somebody was looking at it. It's The King's Speech. It took home the top prize in the categories of Best Picture, Best Actor for Colin Firth, and Best Director for Tom Hooper, and Best Original Screenplay by writer David Seidler. And Natalie Portman was awarded Best Actress for her haunting portrayal of an obsessed young ballet. Did you see that? The young ballet dancer? With Christian Bale also took home gold for his screen-stealing supporting role in The Fighter. Tiny Tim and Tom were also heard from as Toy Story 3 took home the prize for Best Animated Feature. And it was a night leaving everybody, including me, seeing stars. No pun intended. Turning to news closer to home, recently defunct State Senator Pedro Espada Jr. He has given up the illusion that he is a Bronx resident. Espada, who claimed to be living in a Bronx co-op apartment, reportedly sold that apartment this weekend. The neighbors at 325 East 201st Street said they never saw Espada at this home, as it is believed he actually resided in a $700,000 Mamaroneck home. And a lot of people were up in arms. Espada Jr. is accused of embezzling more than $500,000 from a Bronx nonprofit healthcare network. Residents also said that Espada did not represent the Bronx community in any way and was using them as in more ways than one. So that's Espada still going through his dilemma. And closer, well, we got the highlights on the hardwood. And happily, on a more positive note, the Bronx continues to make a good name for itself in the world of sports as native son Mike Glover led the Iona Gales to a victory over the Fairfield Stags in the final contest of the regular season. Yesterday, Glover nicknamed Optimus Prime. Hey! They named him, the fans named him. He scored 10 points, grabbing a game-high 13 rebounds in the 74-69 victory. The junior Bronxite is averaging 18 points and 11 rebounds, and expressed his hometown pride after the game, citing his upbringing in the borough as an important part of his basketball development. Mike Glover joins fellow Bronxites, Kemba Walker of UConn, Dwight Hardy, he's from St. John's, and Corey Fisher of Villanova, as just a few of the many Bronx ballers making a splash on the national stage. Look for those rising stars to shine up in the basketball stratosphere. You can tune in to Open this Friday as Bobby C. He'll have a very special profile on the Bronx's version of Optimus Prime, Mike Glover. Those are your Monday morning highlights. Up next, you'll hear the story of how one of our very own interns is taking full advantage of a unique opportunity. But first, the flags were waving and music was playing at the Bronx County Courthouse. That's for the official ceremony of the Dominican Heritage Month. And, of course, BronxNet was right there. Let's take a look.
Qué lindo se siente ser dominicano. How good to feel being Dominican.
Las banderas ondeaban y la música se tocaban en el Bronx County Courthouse para la oficial ceremonia del mes de la herencia dominicana, patrocinando por la oficina del presidente del condado y la Gran Parada Dominicana del Bronx. El evento celebró la herencia dominicana e incluyó un homenaje a destacados dominicanos americanos a Nueva York y el Bronx.
It's a growing population. The census will show now that the Dominican community is the biggest and strongest right here in the Bronx, even more so than in Washington Heights. And as the borough president, I'm so happy to have so many Dominican friends. I'm so happy to be able to celebrate this wonderful culture. I'm so happy to celebrate our diversity.
Según los resultados preliminarios del censo de 2010, durante la década pasada la población dominicana en el Bronx ha crecido a más que 300,000 residentes, haciéndolo la comunidad latina más grande del condado. Presidente del Bronx Overall Economic Development Corporation, Marlene Cintrón, comentó sobre el impacto que latinos, especialmente los dominicanos, han tenido sobre el desarrollo económico del Bronx.
So it's a growing community. Latinos are the minority or the majority in the Bronx. And so this is an indication of everything that is working really, really well in the Bronx.
Many of them are entrepreneurs, have small businesses, restaurants, bodegas, supermarkets. There's no secret that the Bronx economy is becoming stronger and stronger thanks to the Dominican community.
Concejal Yudel Catapia y representante de la Unión 1199, Nelson Valdés, entre otros líderes, demostraron su orgullo dominicano al evento. Entre la multitud estaban puertorriqueños, afroamericanos y otros residentes del Bronx, quienes venían en apoyo a sus hermanos y hermanas dominicanos a celebrar los logros y contribuciones de esta comunidad vibrante.
Somos de la misma herencia, sea dominicano, sea cubano, sea... la cosa es que debemos estar unidos con la raza latina.
Cristina Pagan, BronxNet.
And thank you, Christina, for that very important report right there. That was a very important cultural celebration indeed. And welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Bob Lee from 107.5 WBLS, today's R&B and Classic Soul. And our first guest, we got her start right here in the studio of Open. You know, we put her on and she just took it, working as an intern on Open and then taking full advantage of the many opportunities that she got right here. She quickly rose as a producer of this very show and thought it began, to work as a BronxNet correspondent. And she has an exciting new series that she's working on. And here to tell us more is our very own Marcy Santiago. We welcome you to the show. Now, this is a new look for you, you know,
is.
on camera. I mean, you've done this before, though, right?
I've sat in your very seat, Bob. And I've been on camera before, but I've never sat here in this particular show on Monday and been a guest, so it's exciting.
Are you nervous?
No.
No, because we're sitting in your living room. These cameras are not really here.
They're not really here. And, you know, I'm with you, Bob. I'm used to working with you. You know, we've worked together for a long time now, almost a year, so I'm very comfortable.
So you're moving away. You're not my producer anymore. Oh, shucks. What are we going to do?
It's sad. I started as an intern here. I came last February, I came to BronxNet, and I was an intern, and I worked alongside all the people that are, you know, here doing camera and doing, you know, audio graphics.
Right.
And I actually got my start line producing for Perspectives, which, as you know, is hosted by Darren Jaime on Tuesday nights.
Now, explain that, line producing.
Line producing. So it's kind of a general term. Generally, line producer means that you're in control of making sure the segments flow together. But here at BronxNet, it's a general term for assistant producer. When I was with Perspectives, I would research things. I would cut together clips for the show, go out and do man-on-the-street interviews and find out basically what people thought of the issues that we were talking about. And occasionally I would write the script, write graphics for the show. So I did that.
And this is a very unique opportunity for a lot of people. I mean, this is a place where we feature interns along with college students working together with professionals in the business. How has that helped you, working with the professionals in the business?
It's helped me so much. Before I came here, I interned at NBC and CBS, and I followed two reporters around, but I never really got a sense of the production of a television show. So when I came here, I was shadowing your former producer, Melissa Johnson, and Curlew, the producer of Perspectives, Curlew Burton. And they helped me to understand how to create a rundown and what a script consists of. And then, from doing the workshopping here that all the interns go through, learning how to work the camera and the teleprompter and the graphics machine and the, TD board, you cannot get this kind of experience anywhere else. They never let you touch anything in those big networks. And here you basically get to create the show yourself.
Now, how important is that I mean, you see one aspect of it, you see the TV part, but then you see how it operates behind the scenes too. How important is that to get the whole complete circle?
It's very important. I mean, when you're sitting in your position, as the host, you have to know what's going on, behind the camera. You're in front of it and you're there and you're talking to the audience, but at the same time, you have to know what's going on with the camera operators, and you have to know that at this particular time you have to take a break, and you have to know how these people are going to put that break in there.
Okay, we're sitting here right now.
Yes.
There's a big control room up there with all the state-of-the-art equipment. What are people doing right now? What are they preparing for?
Right now, I'm sure someone, if they haven't done it already, has already flashed my name across the bottom of the screen, and the director is whispering in the ears of all the camera people, and I'm moving around, and, he's telling camera one, can you follow her? Because I'm moving. You have the audio person controlling our audio levels. I might laugh, or you might laugh, and they have to bring it down a little bit, or I might whisper, and they have to bring it up a little bit. A lot of things are going on.
Reaction shots, and what are they telling me in my ear right now?
Right now, they're telling you to ask me a particular question, or to stretch, or to hurry up and wrap up.
And then you do something else. You go out on location, you blend in with the people, you find out what your story is going to be about, and then you do your investigative reporting.
That's right. So I started doing reporting for BronxNet probably a couple months after I started producing this show. And my first assignment was to go to the Pine Barn Grill, and it was the opening of the Pine Barn Grill, and I was just to get a reaction from the community members on another successful Pine restaurant, because they have two others in the Bronx. And so you go out there, you go with a camera person, or sometimes you are the camera person yourself. Luckily, I've never had to do that because I'm
like the New York one.
Like New York one, I'm not that great on camera, but I'm learning. I'm still learning. Everybody's learning here.
Well, how was it the first time you went out? Were you frightened?
Oh,
how am I going to put this story together? Where does everything go?
I was very nervous. I had never reported on something that was for TV before. I had never really worked in TV before I started at CBS and NBC. My schooling was for print journalism, and TV kind of fell into my lap, so I was just going to go with it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go with it. I had never reported for television before. I've never been in front of a camera. So doing the interviews for me was easy because I studied in print journalism. I know how to conduct an interview. But to actually look into the camera and say, hey, I'm here at the Pine Barn Grill, it was very difficult for me. I had to do it about 40 times.
So when you're first doing it, you need your opening.
Yep.
Everything's a beginning, a middle, and an end.
That's right. That's right.
Even when you go to sleep, you wake up in the morning and you do your day. Beginning, you read a book, beginning, middle, and end. You watch a story, beginning, middle, and end. We started this show. Did the beginning, and we're going to do the middle, and we'll do the wrap-up. We'll do the end. So everything has that. I remember the first time I covered something, news reporting. I covered the Michael Jackson funeral. I did a few things before that, but the things that are most notable in my mind, the Michael Jackson funeral and the Percy Sutton piece that we put together. And I said, my God, where do you go to get all this stuff? You have to go and write to your story.
That's right.
Yeah, you get your story and you write to your story. You find out what it's all about. See, she's listening. She wants to do that. You're going to do it, right? So how important is that to write to the story that you have?
Oh, it's very important. You have to go to a story prepared. I went to the Pine Barn Grill knowing already that it was a restaurant opening. I knew that they had two restaurants already here in the Bronx, and they also have one in Queens. And you have to know essentially what you're looking for. If you go in there not knowing anything, you'll be kind of lost, and you'll get snippets from people, but it won't have any kind of sense of order, and it'll make the story much more difficult to create once you're back in the editing room and you have to cut it all together.
But let's talk about your new role.
Oh, my new role.
Yes,
It's
investigative reporting. What is this?
Well,
what made you want to get involved in that?
It was always something of a passion of mine in school, and I started it here at BronxNet. It's going to be a new series called Open Investigation. It'll air right here on Open.
Yeah.
And
is it more like Shame on You and stuff like that? I don't know.
More like 60 minutes, kind of investigating topics and stuff, but we can do a little Shame on You kind of things. I enjoy those things. Where you go to like crooked car dealerships and yell at them.
Yeah.
But it started out...
You need a bodyguard or two.
Right. It started out as a conversation between our production manager, Marcelo Mendez, and I about how children from Latin American families who have parents that don't really speak English, how they navigate through the school system and through the college application system. It's very complicated. You have to file financial aid, all your college applications. It started out us talking about that, and it kind of drifted into how do undocumented students, children of illegal immigrants that came here, illegally across the border or otherwise, how do they get an education? How do they apply to college? They're undocumented. They're not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
So we've been doing several interviews. I've done several interviews for the project already, and you should be seeing it sometime in the middle of March, right here in Open.
Yeah.
So we've caught up with a couple of people. One, a youth group called the New York State Youth Leadership Council, and they're dedicated to providing services for undocumented students. And helping them get into college, and navigating.
Can you put some pieces on Open? Can you continue to put pieces on our show?
I can.
All right. What's it going to be called? You got a name for it?
It's called Open Investigation with Marcy Santiago. Is the general series name. The episode, if you will, for this first one is about the DREAM Act. So it's going to be called Acting on a Dream. And I'm really looking forward to it. We've got some of the pieces together. We're trying to bring it all together. The current producer of this show now, Chris Pusateri, is helping me with it. So he's doing the camera and editing for me. I'm very happy about that. I'm very excited.
Well, we're excited for you, too, and we're going to miss you here on Open. That's why you got to continue to send us some investigative reporting. I know you're going to work for your show, but,
Right. You'll see me around. I'm going to be doing packages. I have a package coming out soon about a young girl who wants to go study abroad, and she can't afford it. So the community is coming together to provide, funding for her. You'll see me on that. You'll see me on Open Investigation, and there'll be more topics to follow after the DREAM Act piece.
There you go. Marcy Santiago, taking it from the bottom to the top. That's how you do it. Well, we wish you lots of luck and success, okay? Can't wait to see what you've got for us in the Open Investigations. It's going to be really nice. I've got to take a quick break, but up next, we'll continue our celebration of Black History Month with the retired New York City cop and author Carlton Barkley. Well, stay with us. We'll be right back after this.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Well,
I got a big stash, pocket full of cash, just seen a big old ass. System on blast, cops just passed, just seen a big old ass.
By the close of 2009, we will have trained over 200 students just this year alone. We are committed to not only providing these students with the technical training, we're also committed to providing them with access to professional people that will hopefully not only shape them professionally, but personally as well. About half of those students are high school students. They are the future. We want these kids to go to college. We want these kids to have professional careers. We want these kids to say, I grew up in the Bronx, I went to school in the Bronx, I got trained in the Bronx, and look at what I've accomplished. When they come to us, a whole new person is born. When I see these kids come in and they can't tell me what they're interested in, and 3 weeks later they're doing camera and floor managing and audio, when I see them tell me I'm going to college in the fall, that to me is a success. We are successful, we are committed, and we hope to remain so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Voice your support to keep the channels open and strong. Online, visit bronxnet.org and click on Support Public Access Television and sign the letter to your local representatives.
Our voices will be heard. Let's keep the channels open and stay Bronx strong.
Take my hand and start a brand new day. And together as one we'll start to see some change.
Underneath everything we are, underneath everything we do, we are all people, connected, interdependent, united. And when we reach out a hand to one, we can influence the condition of all. That's what it means to live united.
So here are the keys. Congratulations, it's officially yours. I'm sure you'll have many happy years here. Except for you, because you'll be gone 3 years from now, struck down by the same disease that got your father. So you won't be around for them. And sadly, it could have been detected early with a simple test, but you didn't have it. Okay, who wants to check out the backyard?
For a list of tests every man should have, go to ahrq.gov.
What about that? Welcome back, everybody. Ida Keeling, the fastest young lady, 95-year-old in history. And she's right from the Bronx. Great inspiration to a lot of people. All right, I'm your host, Bob Lee, and if you missed any part of the show or want to find out more about BronxNet's other programs, visit us online at bronxnet.org. Before we move forward with our Black History celebration, let's take a trip down memory lane for a classic BronxNet original piece on the importance of education this month. Let's take a look.
Hi, I'm Anthony Green from the Bronx County Historical Society. This might appear to be a mere vacant lot, but buried beneath this soil is an important piece of American history.
The Bronx was actively involved in the Revolutionary War. Strategically located between New York City and Boston, its highways and waterways were vital to numerous military campaigns. Negro Fort was one of many forts occupied by the British during the war. According to local historians, the fort was garrisoned by free black soldiers from Virginia. Blacks also fought for the American side. They joined the militia, and both freed blacks and enslaved blacks took part in the action. In 1781, the New York General Assembly authorized the enlistment of slaves, promising freedom in exchange for service. Negro Fort was built on top of a hill, looking down on the valley that the Montchelou Parkway currently occupies. It was located on St. George Crescent, between 206th Street and the Grand Concourse.
I'm Anthony Green from the Bronx County Historical Society. Don't forget, there's always a piece of Bronx history around every corner.
And welcome back, everybody. I'm the host, Dr. Bob Lee. Joining us now is a retired New York City police officer and the author of the book, 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement Who Care. It's Carlton Berkeley. I'm so glad to see you again. Welcome to the show.
Glad to be back.
All right.
To be back, Bob.
You're still working with the 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement.
No, well, I'm an ex-member,
yes,
a former member of the 100
You still
Blacks.
keep in touch,
Yes.
You founded along with Senator Eric Adams.
Yes,
yes.
that's
and a number
correct.
of other wonderful people.
Yes.
Still going strong. You're still in touch with the people.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. We never know when we're going to be on the same side of the fence. So
Yeah, that's
we
right.
still maintain some contact.
What to do about this? We had a number of demonstrations over the weekend where a lot of our youth are getting shot, or people in general are getting shot. but a lot of gang violence, a lot of retaliation. Somebody goes over here and shoots somebody from this gang, and somebody over here goes back and retaliates, and somebody retaliates again. You get 3 senseless deaths. What do we do about that? I mean, I know what to do about this, and we'll talk about this too.
Right. Well, what we do about that is that's been a problem for a while, and what we need to do about that, though, Bob, is we need really corporate America who says that they really want to help, then help us. One of the biggest reasons because we have so much violence is because of the unemployment. We always know that when unemployment hits us, it hits us the hardest. Right? We got the worst health care, the worst housing. When you have those economic conditions, right, you're going to have violence. You take any nationality and put them in the predicament that we have always been in, and they will be responding the same way.
So this is all due to frustration.
Of course. That's why we have so much violence. Like I said, I'm not trying to make an excuse.
Yeah.
All right, because we're out here along with Senator Eric Adams and some of my other brothers and sisters. We're out here, and although we started educating our people against the injustice of PD, we're still out there, trying to educate our people and try to stir our young people in the right direction. Mm-hmm. But you got to understand where they're coming from too. Like I said, when some of them are living in the worst housing and has the worst medical and can't get a job, I mean, what's the first law that we have of survival?
Yeah.
Right? You got to go out there and do whatever you have to do.
So instead of building new prisons, we should be doing what?
We should be giving unemployment to the worst that need it. And we don't need more prisons. We already proved that right now, the governor wants to close prisons upstate. So that's telling you that most people, aren't looking towards crime. They aren't. So we want to close those jails up there. But those senators that are from upstate are fighting like heck to keep them open. And there's no reason to keep them open.
Well, the reason probably to keep them open is to support the towns that are surrounding the prisons.
Right. But that's so then what you're saying is that our criminal justice system putting people in jail, is going to stimulate this economy. So then you prey on the minorities to keep everything afloat. Is that really right?
Yeah, I'm not saying. I'm just I'm the devil's advocate.
I understand.
But if it's on the New York Stock Exchange, we have a problem with that.
Of course.
That it is economics.
That's what I'm saying. The criminal justice plays a big role in the economics of America, but it's built on the destruction of minorities, blacks, Hispanics, and not just them. We have poor whites too, you know, but they're not. They're not, when they do their crimes, they're not publicized as well as we are. But there are Caucasian people out there committing crimes.
You don't see it on TV.
Oh, no, because they want to still depict us as savages out there in our own community. And unfortunately, some of us continue to act like that. Which we have to look at alternative means, and they're out there. Education is one of them. But along with education, because most of us, we have the hardest time in education also. Right. So when you take all of those factors, education, the worst housing, health, unemployment, you're doomed for destruction.
Mm-hmm. So then we get the worst statistics saying that we commit all the crimes. So then you'll get racial profiling. They'll come up to you. They'll check you. And you have a pamphlet, what to do about this.
Right. Well, what we were saying before, supporting those jails up there, right? So now it's gotten to the point where I said we weren't out there committing that many crimes. So now what the police are doing, is they're going out there violating. Right, and like I said, let me just tell you though, Bob, I always said most of the police out there, 90% of them are good, hardworking officers, but there are some bad ones. And unfortunately, the police are controlled by stats, and by the mayor, And if he or the commissioner says that they need a certain amount of arrests, unfortunately, the cops go out there and they go and they enforce that quota system that's always been around.
Yeah.
And when we get that, we get our people, put in jail for something that they didn't do, and it falls back on racial profiling. And if they don't go to jail, they wind up dead.
So you got a group of people, innocent, maybe college students, maybe getting a good education, but they're going out and having a good time, and they're grouped up together and they get stopped, what do you do?
Well, what they would do is, I always tell everybody to listen to the police, do whatever the police tell you within reason. But you mentioned college student, and unfortunately, we just had one killed at the Pace University. You know, Darnell Henry Jr. And we're involved with that case because we believe that the police were at fault. Because when you interview, and we've been up there and we've interviewed and spoke to a number of students and that were out there. And they were saying that the police officer who fired the fatal rounds, when the young man was leaving, was told to leave, the one officer didn't know what the other officer was telling them and jumped in front of that car, right? And when you jump in front of a car, you're just trying to justify your actions, because when you jump on top of a car, the hood of a car that's moving, it would seem to anybody that the person driving is trying to run you over, when in fact you jumped on the hood, you know, and caused the circumstances that which was the end result, which ended in the young man being killed.
So we have this book here, What to Do About This, a survival guide. Tell us a little, give us a little synopsis about what's in this book.
Okay, what's in that book is because since the Amadou Diallo and the Sean Bell and this incident that I just mentioned, Alberta Sproul, Eleanor Bumpers for the older crowd, these are
Doris
all,
Men and
right,
you know.
Doris, right. All of these people died at the hands of the police with just a brief encounter, meaning that the police stopped them in the street to question them, and it led up to their demise. How could that happen? You know, so what I did was I got tired of it while I was in the NYPD, right? And I tried to do something in there, but you're handcuffed, so to speak. So now that I've been retired, I've been going out, and I did this while I was in NYPD. I go out and I educate people on what to do when stopped by the police. And in that book tells you what to do when stopped by the police, if you're walking in the street, if you're driving a car, what the passengers should do in the car. If the police come and knock on your door or break in your house, what you should do if they are, intent on coming in there for whatever purpose, because a lot of times they don't have a search warrant.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to do.
You can't let them in if they don't have a search warrant.
Well, you don't have to. Right. They're violating your Fourth Amendment right when they stop you on the street using racial profiling or break into your house or stop you in your car. And when they commence to searching you without probable cause, they are violating your Fourth Amendment right, which protects you against unreasonable searches and seizures.
All right, scenario. You got 3 to 4 people in the car. Police officer stops you. You smell some marijuana in the car, and they ask you to get out of the car.
Okay. Well, first of all, police officers that are in uniform are not trained for narcotics. So usually they can't make that determination of the smell of marijuana. Now, what they can do is stop you and maybe call and see if there are some narcotics officers working, right? So they can detain you, right? Because they got somewhat reasonable suspicion. If it doesn't mount up to probable cause, then they shouldn't be searching you. So they can call and have some narcotics officers come to the scene and let them handle the investigation from there. But uniform officers aren't supposed to make those type of arrests.
My brother and I were coming from South Carolina, and we were in Maryland. I had to go on the radio, I do a radio show, and I was rushing back. Wasn't speeding or anything like that, but we got pulled over. I had a van, and sometimes I carry sound equipment in it, because for one reason or another, I don't take it out because I don't want to. I know I have something else to do with it. I have a gig to do or something like that. So we got pulled over. My brother was sleeping in the front seat, had the back seat back. And I was doing the driving, and he said, let me see your license and registration. I said, well, what's the problem? He says, well, you were going kind of fast. I said, kind of fast? I said, I was watching my speedometer. I said, I know how fast I was going. He says, can we check your car? I said, for what? What? Can we check your car? You got any guns in there? I said, no. I'm not. Well, can we check it? I said, no, I don't have any guns. And they kept me out there. Man, it was freezing out there. And they just kept me out there until I, said, all right, go in there, but don't put anything in my car.
Oh.
And I had the sound equipment in there, and they said, thank you very much, sir, and they let me go. I had received something in the mail a few months after that. I think they had, what do they call it? where everybody's trying to sue the Maryland Police Department for something. I forget what they called it. But they had a lot of complaints. A class action. It was a class action suit. And they wanted you to go back and let everybody know what happened and all that stuff. And they must have had it on camera or something. I don't know. I don't know how they got that.
Well, I wish you would have had steadfast, but unfortunately, see, that's an abuse of power is what the officers did.
It was 2 o'clock in the morning. It was freezing out there. And after a while, I knew I didn't have anything, but I said, don't put anything in my car because I don't have anything.
Well, you know, you shouldn't have said that, because what you do sometimes is you tee an officer off, and then they will just lock you up for the catch-22, which is disorderly conduct.
One guy was really nice, but the other guy was like, let me get in that car.
Well, at times that's a game. You have the good officer and you have the bad officer. But I wish you would have had stood your ground, because with me being an ex-law enforcement officer, I would have stood my ground, because I can't determine if you were speeding or not. It's your word against the officer.
Right.
But once he approached you, if it was for speeding, why he was stopping you?
Right. Why didn't you give me the ticket?
Why would he want to look inside the car and search the car? And what they do, what officers do so much, is they trick people. Because see, where they trick you is, they said, like you said, oh, you got any guns in there? So now you want to prove that you don't have any guns in there. So you'll tell the officer and you fall for it. Well, no, go and search. No, you know you don't have any guns in there, right? So you don't have to prove anything to the officer. He's just trying to use whatever he could just to search you. And there have been officers, Bob, that have what we call flake, have put something on people, you know, and said that they have it. I have just a couple of news clippings. Look at this one right here, where it says, cop pleads guilty to stealing heroin from drug dealers at gunpoint. Wow. So, and this is a Daily News article, and if we have officers out there doing this, and doing other inappropriate things, who's to say? And I'm telling you.
And again, those are some of the bad cops, and there are a lot of good cops that you and I know who are on the force.
Exactly, but unfortunately, we have a small percentage of bad cops, and for some reason, they seem to be always in our neighborhoods, in the poor neighborhoods, you know, and we have to do something about that. And NYPD has to face up to having, you know, this problem and dealing with it, instead of trying to just brush it under the rug.
Have you spoken to the commissioner or anything about this?
I've tried to speak with Commissioner Kelly. I've spoken with him a couple of times at some community meetings, and he has said to me to make an appointment to speak with him. And I've tried a couple of times, but I don't think he really wants to sit down with me, because Commissioner Kelly has a problem with the 100 blacks in law enforcement who care, who I am a former member. And I came out with this organization, Brothers and Sisters Who Care. All right. But I don't know if he's holding that against me. I have nothing against Police Commissioner Kelly. I think he's a fine man. But he has to control his officers. And if he wants that top post, you know, when your officers are doing something wrong, you know, you have to accept some of that blame. He seems to be wanting to be commissioner, but doesn't want to accept the blame when his cops are out there violating people.
All right. He's watching you. Tell him what you need, what you want.
What I would like to do, Commissioner Kelly, is to have a sit down with you and members of the minority communities from all 5 boroughs. And you can hear from a former police officer, because you're not going to hear this from an officer that's on the force, because you and I know that that officer is handcuffed with what he or she can say. Believe me, it's out there. You know, stop turning a blind eye to it. And if we don't fix it, unfortunately, right, our people are going to keep suffering, but there's young people out there right now, Bob, that, you know, want to rebel. They want to retaliate against the police. And I'm out there telling them no, because I know it's not a war that they can win, right? But that's not the way we should go at it. And I would like Commissioner Kelly to have a sit down and see where I'm coming from. And I'm pretty sure once he sees what type of person I am, right, maybe we can work together with getting some of these bad cops off the street and having getting a better relationship, bridging that relationship between the police and the community.
Former NYPD police officer Carlton Berkeley, thank you so much, and author and co-founder of 100 Blacks in Law Enforcement Who Care. What to do about this? He has that book right there. We got to take a quick break. We'll be back with a whole lot more. Don't go anywhere. Very good, very good. You reach out to him. Maybe they'll put this on.
Telling you to hear it. They praise the music. This time they play the lyrics. Some say no to the album, the show. Bum rush the sound. I made a year ago. I guess you know. You guess I'm just a radical. Not on sabbatical. Yes, to make it critical. The only part of your body should be party at 2. Pass the power on the hour from the rebel to you. Hey, yo, Chuck, man. I don't understand.
The dark institution of slavery permeated the South in the early 1800s. Plantation life was the center for most Southern slaves, whereas here in the North, black New Yorkers were able to establish vibrant communities. They founded some of the earliest black churches, schools, and publications in all of America. They established and ran successful businesses and created viable communities and institutions in sometimes hostile environments. They founded the first black theater, the Africa Theater, and the first black newspaper, Freedom's Journal, in 1827.
We are here on Unionport Avenue, just south of the Parkchester houses and north of Westchester Avenue. It was here, on this site in 1855, that one of the first black churches in the Bronx was incorporated, the Centerville AME Church. The parishioners from the Centerville Church were from various estates in the area where blacks were used as laborers.
The congregation probably came from workers on the Morris Estate on Throgs Neck or the D. Zarega Mansion. The neighborhoods of Williamsbridge and Wakefield even had a strong black middle-class community in the 19th century. Many of the men were railroad workers and coach drivers for wealthy North Bronx families. They were able to take advantage of empty lands, improve transportation, and accessibility to jobs to create the foundation for what would become one of the 5 boroughs of New York City in 1898, the beautiful Bronx. This is Anthony Green from the Bronx County Historical Society, reminding you that there is Bronx history around every corner.
G-Morning, sunshine. Wakey, wakey. Text me. Are your parents home later? We can hang. LUV, love you. JK. Holla back. Holla back. Holla back. Are you with your friends? That's lame. We're in a huge fight right now. XO. What'd you dream about? Something I did. Are you on your way to the mall? I'm lonely. Nude pics. Send me some. Text me.
Everybody run down. Get involved. Everybody get. Come on now. Come on now. Come on. Come on. Come on with your come on. Come on. Come on. Everybody run down.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. I'm the Dr. Bob Lee from 107.5 WBLS. Today's R&B and Classic Soul, or your #1 station for R&B. That's what we say now. Our next guest has dedicated his career to promoting an awareness of black history through writing and through the power of spoken word. Here to do a reading for us is author and poet Claude Green. Now, we welcome you to the show. I know you were listening to all of our conversations or the interviews before, and you mentioned something about the 3rd or 4th grade.
Right. A little background on me. I am a retired professional engineer.
Yes.
But I've conducted what I call our story cultural awareness sessions at SCI Chester Prison.
Yes.
I used to do it weekly. And one of the things that came up in that work was that a judge came in and told the prisoners that they would check testing kids in the 4th grade to determine the need for prisons in the future.
I heard that a number of times before. How do they do that testing?
Okay.
Do you know?
A sociologist came in and explained it. What happens is that from the 1st grade to the 3rd grade, you learn to read. From the 4th grade on, you read to learn. So if you cannot read by the time you're in the 4th grade,
They think you're going to go to jail.
Well, they have I'm sure they have a chart where it's predictable how many of those kids that cannot read in the 4th grade.
So you're saying they're building those prisons based upon that statistic right there, or
yes,
what
it's a
they
fact.
think is
Yes.
going to happen?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
They've admitted it in a number of states. As a matter of fact, one of the governors, one of the men running for governor in the state of Virginia brought that out, and that was part of his campaign, that he wanted to put an end to that sort of thing in Virginia.
Well, you seem like you're a historian, too. You handed me this sheet of paper here that says,
when slaves pined for Dixieland on Manhattan. Actually, what that's saying is that the Dixie in Dixieland was in Manhattan. That's what Dixieland is really all about. Actually, the song itself was written by a black man, by two black brothers, the Snowden brothers in Ohio.
Snowden brothers,
right? And it was made popular by this Emmett. Can't think of his name now.
And how far does that go back?
This
is like the 1800s, 1700s?
I got this from
I don't see a date on. 1800s.
Yes, back in the 1800s.
1800s newspaper article.
Right, yeah.
All right, so tell us about your book. What do we have here?
Okay. My book is called What We Dragged Out of Slavery With Us. And basically it is sort of a compilation of my family's history and Negro history, slave narratives and that sort of thing, put in a form so that my family won't lose their history.
Yeah.
So basically what you see there on the cover basically is a picture that was taken inside the kitchen of the house where my great-great-grandmother was a slave. Wow. And if you look at the picture, I don't know how close you can get it, but underneath, this is the actual picture of the house.
Yeah.
And the room that we're talking about is on the lower right-hand corner. These top row marks were put there by my great-grandmother, my great-great-grandmother.
And what are those marks for?
They represent the births of her children that were born on that plantation.
Okay, yeah.
And then the next set were put there by my great-grandmother.
Oh, look at that.
They will represent the children that were born to her.
A lot of children in the family there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
How did you find this?
Actually, the owner of that plantation today, I got to know him. I got to know them through a friend of the family, and they invited me over. Actually, he found those. They were on the wall behind some plaster or something, and he found them. And he had, when I went over to visit them, he showed them to me. I didn't. And he asked me, he said, "Do you know what these are?" I don't know.
Yeah.
And then he told me.
He wanted to know. Maybe it was the markings indicating where the money was hidden or something like that.
No, he knew.
He knew?
He knew. I didn't know.
Yeah.
He had to explain it to me. Yeah, right. Interesting. He flies a Confederate flag.
Oh, wow. A lot of people still do in the South, you know.
Yeah, he flies a Confederate
So
flag.
what got you into finding, you did the genealogy thing and found out
Yes.
where everybody was from? Did you
Yes.
go to England? How far did it take you?
Well, I was able to go back on this side of the ocean, back to about 1790, 1785, somewhere back in there. Actually, 1761. Somewhere in there, I have a tree that's in there. Basically, what happened was I found this particular house back in 1969. It was just a house for sale.
Wow.
And
You should have purchased it back then.
I tried to. And when I told my great uncle, who is now dead, about this house, and he said, "Oh, that old slavery time house."
Yeah, yeah,
I said,
yeah.
Then he went on to tell me the story about about this house, the history of that house, and from that I went into some studies and went back and checked genealogy and so on and so forth.
So those are some of the things that people can find in this book.
Yes.
Yeah. And you also do poetry.
No, I don't do poetry. But what I did want...
You do readings.
I did... what I had here was a list of things that I like to talk about. And this is a short list. Things that most people don't know about black history.
Go ahead.
Okay. All people on the face of the earth today are descended from one African woman. I don't know. That was on the History Channel, a documentary. Civilization began in the Nile Valley of Africa And there are many names for that area. Some people call it Kemet. We refer to it as Egypt today.
Yeah.
And the book of Genesis is actually called Mizraim. The writer of the book of the Gospel of St. Mark was an African. Most people don't realize that. And actually, they say that the other 3 Gospels are based on Mark's Gospel. So basically, when you read the Gospels, all the Gospels, they're based on, say, an African's version of the Gospels.
Yeah.
Okay? It was technology taken out of Africa into Southern Europe by the Moors that led Europe out of her dark ages. The dark ages of Africa were not the dark ages. I mean, the dark ages of Europe were not the dark ages of Africa, because during that time we had the great kingdoms of Ghana, Mali, Songhai, and one of the kings of Mali, Mansa Musa, gave away so much gold on his Hajj that he drove down the price of gold for 10 years. When Columbus landed on these shores, there was a black man that actually piloted one of his ships, a guy named Pedro Nino. And he wasn't a slave.
Spanish guy.
Right. Well, no, he was Portuguese.
Oh. Okay.
Let's put it like this. He was half Portuguese. He was called Pedro the Black.
Yeah, well, with the slave triangle, a lot of the islands were inhabited by Africans and Spaniards and Indians, Italiano Indians.
Right.
So for a lot of Puerto Ricans, those are the 3 people that they are.
Right.
The African, the Spaniard, and the
Right.
Italiano Indian.
Right.
So they are black.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So you can go to Puerto Rico or one of those other islands and you see somebody look like Joe Frazier and they're speaking Spanish.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
So you're a historian. You
right.
You study a lot of this.
Right. There were Africans that came to this continent that were never slaves. People don't realize that. There was Africans that escaped from slavery and lived to themselves in the swamps in desolate areas that were not slaves, and they were called Maroons. Most people don't know they existed. The first man to die for this country was a man named Crispus Attucks. A lot of people know that.
Yeah, he was in the American Revolution.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That was the start of the American Revolution. There were Haitian soldiers that fought for the United States during the Revolutionary War, including the first king of Haiti, whose name was Henry Christophe.
There you go. Give me 2 more.
I can give you one more.
One more. Give me one more.
Okay, one more. A black pilot named Eugene Bullard shot down German aircraft before the Americans even got into the First World War.
What about the Tuskegee Airmen?
Okay, this is 25 years before the Tuskegee Airmen, and he was called the Black Swallow of Death.
Oh, they didn't want to run into him, right?
Right.
So,
yeah.
give us the information on your book because they're wrapping me up right about now.
Okay, all right. You can get more information about me and what I do on OurStory89.com.
OurStory89.com.
Right.
Are you going to be anywhere signing or anything like that?
Not in the near future.
All right.
Right.
Thank you so much. We
You're
really
quite welcome.
appreciate you. We got a whole lot more for you, but they want to wrap me up. So we need to get you back again so you can talk more about the history of our wonderful people, okay? Claude Green, the poet. I thought you were going to hit us with some poetry.
No, unless you want to say something
Yeah.
about.
Well, they wrapping me up right now. But thank you so much. You come back again, all right?
Okay.
All right, that's about all the time we have for today's show. Many thanks to all of our guests for stopping by. And, of course, you, our viewers, for tuning in and checking it all out. Check out Darren Jaime. He's on Wednesdays. He's going to be really nice. You go to WBLS.com or you can go to BronxNet.com and find out more on the shows. We'll be on again today at 5 and at 10 tonight, and then tomorrow on the 10s again and at 5 o'clock, right? Always remember this, what you are is God's gift to you, and what you make of yourself is your gift to God. So choose your choice and let your choice control the chooser. Happy birthday, Mike Nobby, from all of us here at BronxNet. Have a great day. Love you all. Bye.